Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a really bold idea from the Dutch theologian Abraham Kuyper. He argued that Calvinism isn't just some dry historical doctrine, but a complete and total system for life, a blueprint that has shaped entire nations and still has a powerful story to tell.
So Kuyper kicks things off with this incredibly dramatic image. He sees modern history not as a series of small debates, but as a massive, high-stakes battle, a mortal combat for the very soul of our civilization. So who exactly are the contenders in this epic fight?
Well, on one side you have modernism. Kuyper traces its roots to the French Revolution, and its core idea is that humanity can build a world based on its own reason without any higher authority. Its motto, no God, no master. And on the other side, you've got the Christian heritage, a worldview that starts with God, not man. For Kuyper, this is the fundamental conflict of our age.
Now, Kuyper argues that if you're going to go up against a complete, all-encompassing life system like modernism, you can't just show up with a couple of good arguments. No, you need an equally powerful, equally comprehensive life system of your own. And for him, that system is Calvinism.
But before he even tells us what he thinks Calvinism is, he wants to clear away some of the clutter. He says there are a lot of common ideas about it that just completely miss the point.
He points out 4 ways people usually get it wrong. For some, it's just a sectarian insult. For others, it gets boiled down to just one single doctrine, like predestination. You've also got people who think it's just a name for a specific church, or academics who treat it like a fossil from history. And Kuyper's response to all of this is, nope, you're all thinking way too small.
And that brings us to his main point. For Kuyper, Calvinism isn't just a set of beliefs, it's a complete worldview, an all-embracing system that starts with one core principle and then logically builds out to shape everything: how we live, how we think, how we build society. He's putting it on the same level as massive historical forces like paganism or Islam. Okay, that is a huge claim. So what makes something a true life system in his book? Well, he lays out a pretty simple 3-part test to figure that out.
He says any real, comprehensive worldview has to provide a clear and coherent answer to 3 of the biggest questions we can ask. First, what's our relationship to God? Second, what's our relationship to each other? And third, what's our relationship to the world around us?
So, let's put this to the test. Let's see how Kuyper argues that Calvinism gives its own unique answers to these 3 foundational questions, setting it apart from all the other major worldviews.
First up, our relationship to God. This is the big one, the starting point from which everything else is going to flow. How does a worldview connect the human with the divine?
Kuyper lays out a sharp contrast here. He says paganism finds God within the created world. Islam sees God as totally separate and isolated from the world. Roman Catholicism, in his view, places the church as a necessary middle link or intermediary. But Calvinism, he says, makes a radical claim that every single person can have direct, immediate fellowship with God. No middleman needed.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Kuyper argues that your answer to that first question, how you relate to God, directly determines your answer to the second one, how you relate to other people.
Think about the social impact. Paganism, with its gods and demigods, creates natural hierarchies and caste systems. Romanism, he argues, with its clerical structure, leads to an aristocratic society. Even modernism, in trying to fix this, demands a kind of forced uniformity. But the logic of Calvinism is totally different. If every individual stands directly before God, then it means every individual stands as an equal to everyone else. And that, Kuyper says, is the spiritual seed of democracy.
Okay, so last part of the test. A complete life system has to tell us what our posture toward the physical world should be. Are we supposed to escape it, conquer it, or something else entirely?
Kuyper contrasts Calvinism with 2 other Christian approaches. The first, which he associates with Romanism, saw the world as cursed and believed the church's job was to dominate it. The second, Anabaptism, argued for the opposite, fleeing the world altogether. But Calvinism offered a third way, to serve God in the world. This comes from the idea of common grace, this belief that creation itself is good, and that our job is to cultivate it, to develop its potential, all for God's glory.
So now that he believes Calvinism has passed the test, Kuyper zooms way out. He's not just talking about a set of ideas anymore. He's talking about a force that has shaped the very course of history. He paints this incredible picture of human history as one single river, a world stream that flows from east to west. In his view, the torch of progress is passed from Babylon and Egypt to Greece and Rome,
then through the Islamic world, then through Roman Catholic Europe, until finally, the leading edge of civilization is carried forward by the Calvinistic nations.
And for him, the 16th century was the absolute pivot point. He makes this huge claim that without the energy of Calvinism, Spain would have crushed the Free Dutch Republic, the absolutist Stuart kings would have won in England, and North America would never have become the home of liberty. He sees it as the decisive force that saved freedom in the West.
And the results of this, as he saw it, were just a cascade of positive effects. He believed this one worldview guaranteed constitutional rights, which in turn created the stability for science and art to flourish. That then opened up new avenues for trade, and all of it worked together to elevate and improve every part of life, from the home to the public square.
But for Kuyper, this was never just a history lesson. He was passionate that Calvinism wasn't a spent force, not some relic in a museum. He believed it was a living principle that still carried the vital energy to shape the future.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative thought for today. Is Kuyper's framework, this idea of a grand clash between competing, all-encompassing life systems, still a useful lens for understanding the deep ideological battles that are shaping our world right now?